This episode of the My Latin Life podcast is brought to you by Bitrefill. Bitrefill is the best way to spend your crypto in Latin America. Purchase gift cards or mobile refills from more than 3,500 brands in 186 countries instantly, safely, and privately. Visit bitrefill.com for more information. Welcome back to another episode of the My Latin Life podcast. Since 2014, My Latin Life has been your trusted guide to traveling and living in Latin America. My guest today is Andrew Esquire. He's the host of two YouTube channels, Legal Mindset with over 100,000 subscribers and Go East Gentlemen, arguably the juicier channel where he helps everyday men escape the collapsing West for the Far East. So we welcome Alex to the podcast, or Andrew to the podcast.
Thank you. Appreciate being here on My Latin Life and that we've finally been able to connect. It's kind of crazy when you're working across time zones, which I think is the first thing you learn to deal with when you start moving abroad.
This is true. So you're calling in from Thailand today?
Currently in Thailand. I lived in Seoul, South Korea for roughly 3 years. I also spent about 6 months in the aggregate in Tokyo, Japan. I've traveled a lot over Southeast Asia. So, I've been to Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines. So I'm very familiar with Asia as well as Latin America because I grew up in Miami, Florida. So I've been to Brazil, Argentina, Colombia, Costa Rica, Belize, Mexico, most of Central and South America. So I'm very familiar with that. And my brother actually really loves Latin America. So I don't come at this from a point of not loving and having a great appreciation for Latin America. I just, when I look at my life categories and the thing that my life stacks up with, living in Asia fits for me.
Yeah, and that's totally cool. The listeners might be thinking, okay, Vance, why are we having this Asia guy on the podcast? What does this have to do with anything? I guess partly I just wanted to indulge my curiosity, see what you had going on and make a podcast out of it anyway, you know what I mean? And I think a lot of people are not pure Latin America enthusiasts. They're interested in other digital nomad hotspots, expat hotspots, such as Eastern Europe, Southeast Asia, of course. So this kind of gives us the other side of the coin.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing I'm seeing now with the guys I'm talking to is they're shopping venues and they're not just going to Latin America or to Asia, right? Either way, or to Eastern Europe. They're saying, I'm going to Colombia. I'm going to Brazil. I'm going to Thailand. I'm going to the Philippines. I'm going to Poland. I even had a guy saying they're going to Albania, right? I mean, that's a little bit of a rogue pick. But they're going around the world and they're seeing what is the place they like the best. What is the place that they fit in with and that they're wanting to spend their time, money, effort to acclimate there? Do they want to learn a foreign language? Do they already know a foreign language? I think these are all big questions that you have to ask yourself when you move abroad. So one of the first things I was curious about for you in your case was when you were looking to leave, what was your list? What was your priority list in what you were looking for in a place to live or a place to relocate?
For me, that's an interesting question. I would say escape Canadian and northeastern United States winter. So
Absolutely.
Looking for a place that had good weather, between November and March was one of the big considerations.
That's actually, people are like, it's funny, but that actually knocks a lot of places out. I spent a lot of time in Seoul, South Korea, and look, I love Korean food. Korean women are gorgeous. They have a very well-developed city. Their infrastructure is state-of-the-art, but it's too cold. I'm from Miami. I cannot live there. It's not possible for me to live there. And there's certain other places that are like that in other parts of the world. Eastern Europe. Parts of Eastern Europe are freezing. Yeah. I mean, I just can't do it, despite the fact that I might love the food or the culture, or the women, whatever else, whatever your factors are. You might not be able to take it, and that's fair, right? You're allowed to have that preference.
Yeah, that's why I could never do Eastern Europe. Just I think Eastern Europe appeals more to the Miami guys, the California guys, the guys from the southern United States, where
Mhm.
maybe they like for them snow is like a newer experience or something, but someone from Boston or Chicago or Toronto, they don't. I find that they don't really want to go to Eastern Europe because it's like okay, it's like a little bit cheaper. Maybe dating's a little bit better, but everything's like
Is it
weird
cheaper
and
though? Is it really cheaper than the alternative, right? Because you're not comparing it to Canada or the US, right? Because obviously anywhere is cheaper than that, but it's not cheaper than some of the other alternative locations they could go that are really that are really favorable. Like it's not cheaper than a Colombia or a Brazil or a
Mhm.
Philippines, right? I mean, Eastern Europe is getting a little bit pricier. From the last time I was there about 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah, perhaps. But yeah, I've definitely noticed this thing where like the people who are from snowy places want the warm
Hmm.
places. People from warm
Yeah,
places are kind of more down for the snowy places.
but the thing is, okay, as a warm place guy, Miami guy, I grew up literally not seeing snow till I was 19. Think about that.
Mhm.
Um, like didn't know what snow was, and I thought, oh, I can do Seoul, I can do winter. It took me 2 to 3 winters to realize this is not it long term. I cannot be living in a place that gets this cold or has this long of a winter. And the winter lasts, when a winter lasts
I
from
didn't realize Seoul
essentially,
is cold, dude. I gotta look this
it's
up.
so far
Seoul
north. Look at the map. Look at
climate.
the map.
They should be better at hockey then.
No. I think that has to do. I think that has to do with the not having the frame to check people. But that being said, it is absolutely Siberian in the winter,
Yeah,
and
I'm seeing that.
it lasts from about October until through April, May, even sometimes. I
Yeah,
mean,
this is
April
basically
was even
like
cold.
Boston weather.
It's not good.
Yeah.
It's not something for me. For me, other people like it. Other people want 4 seasons. They don't mind the winter. They don't mind being inside. As an extroverted guy too, it really is a pain for me to meet people when they don't want to go outside because it's too cold or it's rain, it's freezing rain or whatever else. They don't want to go out in that, and for a social guy, that's a problem.
Got it. So, Andrew, why don't you kind of take us back to the beginning, hero's journey, but
Ah,
give
yes.
us like a fast version of it, and just bring us up to speed on who you are, kind of how you got remote, and let's
Mhm.
like build your authority a little bit.
Sure, absolutely. So I am, of course, currently an American attorney, a Florida attorney. I'm still barred, and I still do a lot of legal practice, including recently I've started doing a lot of U.S. immigration stuff. So for folks that are that want to, let's say they have a kid or a spouse and they want to get them citizenship or whatever else in the U.S., I've started helping
Hmm.
people on that. But more than that, I help people getting visas coming to Asia. So coming specifically to Thailand, I'm really an expert on that. Can also help out with Korea, Japan, Philippines as well. But when I started, I was just a Miami kid growing up in Miami, Florida. But Miami, Florida is a multicultural city. I grew
Hmm.
up with Cubans, Colombians, Venezuelans, Brazilians. I grew up ordering café con leche y tostada, tostada like for my dad every single day. Like that was what we went to breakfast, and we just got it ordered in Spanish. Nobody spoke English. You had to know Spanish to survive. And when I got a little bit older, I was fascinated with my family because they were all over the world. They weren't in Asia, but everywhere else, every other continent, South America, North America, Europe, Africa. My family's all over those places, and they
How is
speak
that?
all. A lot of diaspora, a lot of being on the, one person chose to leave, or one person was on the wrong side of a war or the wrong side of a political conflict, and they just ended up all over the world. And they speak all sorts of languages. I'm going to have to go to or I will go to my cousin's wedding um, in Europe in a bit, and they sent out the invite in 5 different languages. So it was something that I felt was in my blood, and I also felt like I've seen and I've lived a Latin life growing up. Miami, Florida is essentially Havana North. So I've been to, like I said, Central and South America. I've visited them, but they very much always, to me, felt like home. And I
Mm-hmm.
had this call to go to a place that was different from home.
Mm-hmm.
I always felt that, but I got into my job as a lawyer, right? I went to law school, and I went to law school in Florida, University of Florida. And I ended up working in Orlando for about 6 years doing property law, doing real estate law, but it was really local. And I said, this isn't what I want to do. I don't want to be stuck doing local stuff here in Orlando. Went to Miami, had an opportunity to go remote during COVID. COVID, I think a lot of people looked at it as a burden. For me, it was a blessing. COVID allowed everybody to go remote. And I asked my job, I said, do you care where I am in the world? Do you care if I'm doing the job and getting on the calls? And they said no. And I said, okay, peace. I'm going to Korea. So I went to Korea,
Nice
continued to
first
work
stop.
continue to
Interesting
work
first
during
stop.
continue to work during that. And the reason why I went to Korea, this is the reason, many countries were closed. I wanted to go to Japan. I had more friends in Japan. I liked Japan. I had been to Japan. I had not been to Korea, but I was able to get a visa there because they weren't totally closed. They had exemptions, they had exceptions for you to get into Korea. I had to spend 2 weeks in a gulag, a COVID gulag, essentially in quarantine, where
Mm-hmm.
people are checking on you, making sure you don't go outside. You've got an app tracker. But I said, Korea, I'm choosing it because it's in Asia. I feel a much akin to Asia. I feel very much aligned with the culture here in general, overall in the region. I like the food. Women are very attractive, and the economics of it, the conversion rate of dollar to Korean won, was very favorable. So I said, all these things are in my favor. I'm going to Korea. Enjoyed it, loved it. But when other countries opened, specifically Thailand, I went down here and I instantly made so many good connections with so many good friends down here. And I really mean that. That was a deciding factor for me, was other expats that were here. And there was just more expats in Bangkok, more expats in Thailand, more expats all around the country. So I said, I'm going to have a better network down there. So I moved down here to Thailand. I still
Mm-hmm.
do significant time in the other countries. I still visit them. I'll still go there for even months at a time. But my home base is now down here in sunny Thailand, which has fantastic weather, pretty much the same as Miami. So it very much fits with what I grew up with and makes me feel very much at home.
I like it. I like it. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
So I do have a couple questions to kick things off to kind of clarify the how you kind of got remote a little bit more.
sure.
Looks like you started Legal Mindset, your primary YouTube channel, with 103,000 subscribers at the time of this recording, about 3 years ago. So I guess during the pandemic.
Yeah, so I started that during the pandemic, and what I wanted to do was I wanted to hedge. So I said, okay, I've got this corporate job, they're letting me go remote, but
Uh-huh.
I have no idea when they could stop that. And I knew that YouTube and social media doesn't build itself overnight. You don't just start a channel and all of a sudden you're printing money from the sky. That's not how it works with social media. In most cases, some people do have the rare viral video and that works. But I knew it was going to be hard work. It
Yeah.
took me a year and a half of working on that channel before I made any significant money on that channel. And it took almost 2 years before it was kind of significantly profitable. But I clipped at it and worked at it and worked at it. And finally, there were some big trials that came up, the Kyle Rittenhouse trial and the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard trial, which, of course,
Mm.
is known around the world. And when I covered those trials, my channel blew up, went crazy, and I made a scratch on YouTube, and now I have a significant presence there. But that was something I always built as a hedge, saying, okay, this is my freedom. This is my freedom here. I've got this. I can do it anywhere in the world. It's not contingent on anybody else but me and YouTube.
Right,
I
right.
know their rules. I know how to play by their rules. I'm diversified on other platforms. I have a locals, legalmindset.locals.com is my locals for general stuff. I post GoE stuff there as well. And then I've also got a Rumble. So Rumble is coming in as well. So all of these
You do
platforms
Rumble
that
for
I'm
the legal stuff or just for the Go East stuff?
for both, for
For
both.
both. Okay.
So you should be able to get me on both. I'll double check to make sure the GoE stuff is all uploading. Sometimes Rumble's a little weird on that. But with live streaming, especially for my legal stuff, it always goes on Rumble. And the community building there has been great. But that was part of my plan to diversify. I don't want to just be reliant on one income stream, because as somebody who's
Smart.
working abroad, you know that sometimes one income stream can have a problem. Maybe it's COVID, maybe it's
Yeah.
something else. So I
Yeah.
wanted 2 to 3 was my goal. Not a million, just 2 to 3. And I get it into a position where I build one, I can maintain it. Now Legal Mindset, Go East are kind of in maintenance mode. I'm still doing a lot of work for them, but I'm building my other businesses, specifically helping folks come over here to Asia, which is through my Go East channel. That's in and of itself its own business. I do consultations on
Hmm.
goeastgentleman.com, and I
Hmm.
have helped to date approximately 72 people come to Asia.
Nice.
So I've had folks, these are not just people that call me, and there are people that just call me and want to talk. That's fine. I can talk to you, right? If you book a consultation, I'll talk to you. But these folks are actually coming. They've come to Japan, Korea, Philippines, Thailand. Some of them I've helped get visas. Some of them I've just told them how to get a visa, and they've gone and done it themselves. But that's been very significant for me. And then also now I'm doing local work here in Thailand, actual work face to face, because I
Hmm.
miss that. I like to have a little bit of face to face work. It helps me get out of the studio and
Yeah.
do face to face stuff. So that's how I developed that. But I knew long term, if I'm going abroad, I need to have a remote something. You cannot rely on a fixed job permanently. You need to have remote something or start building local income. One
Yeah.
or the other, unless you're building local income or you're building something remote. I think remote is better. I'm highly biased though, so maybe I don't know if you agree or disagree, or there's a debate there to be had. But I'd be interested in your thoughts.
Yeah, and when you say remote, I mean your primary job was remote, but you mean like a side hustle or like
A side hustle,
an
but
online income
yeah,
stream. Yeah.
at some point, a side hustle becomes a main income stream, right? So
Yeah.
at some point, it transforms into that. At some point, my legal mindset money passed my freelancing, contracting, legal money. And by the way, what I did with my legal job was I worked in house for a company. And then
Hmm.
I went freelance. I went as an independent contractor because I didn't want them to deal with the tax issues when I'm become a tax resident of another country and having to file. So I said, I'm freelance. I deal with the tax consequences myself. Just give me the 1099 me. I'm all good,
Hmm.
and I'll work from abroad, project to project, and I will consistently underbid any American vendor. No American lawyer can. They can't compete with me. I'm abroad. I'll undercut American lawyers. They can't compete with me.
It makes sense.
So yeah,
Makes sense.
try it.
Interesting. Yeah, so you're basically a kind of COVID baby that it morphed into its own thing. You were given a bit of a wiggle room or leeway with a little bit of COVID hybrid freedom, and then you said, you know what, I'm liking this. Time to start ensuring that I can continue doing this worst case scenario by building up the YouTube, getting some side income streams. So really like it because and what's interesting is you probably could have built that YouTube channel a couple of years earlier and even been more successful because you would have had less competition, but you just
Vance,
didn't have.
dude, you are totally right. You are 100% right. I think about that every day. I think about that every single day. I could have built it 2 to 3 years earlier, and I would have been a million subscribers on YouTube instead of 100,000. But you know, the best day to plant a tree is 20 years ago or today, right? So I'm doing it today. I'm continuing to do it. I'm not stopping. I'm not going anywhere. But that's my message to everybody, right? And I think you would probably say the same thing is do it now because you're going to regret not having done it earlier. I mean, would you agree?
That's it. Sooner the better.
Yeah. 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 And I think the same goes for getting out. That was sort of my thing was when I made that decision to leave, right? I was around my mid 30s. So was it 33, 34? And I said, I don't want to be, I said, I set a limit for myself. I don't want to go over 35 in the US. I want to be out of the US before 35. Because here's my thought. I don't want to be one of those guys who's leaving at 60 or 70 or 80 when I'm retired. I want to have some vitality to do stuff, to actually go out there and adventure, see the world, enjoy the benefits of being younger abroad rather than being the old man who's coming there and all I can do is sit in the retirement home. I mean, that's not the lifestyle that I wanted. And by the way, I'm not shaming that. I do a lot of retirement visas all the time. Great. If you only get to do that when you're 60, hey, at least you're doing it when you're 60, right? You still probably got 30 years of life ahead of you with modern medical technology. But
Mm.
I wanted to do it now. I wanted to make sure I did it now. And I set a tangible date for myself. I said, I will not be 35. I accomplished it. I did it before I was 34, I believe. So it was very much achieved. But that's what I did, because I said I've got to do this, because otherwise it's just going to be a dream. It's just going to be something I'm thinking about doing. But there's so many things people think about doing: losing weight, making $1 million, whatever. They dream about them, but they don't set an objective goal to do it.
This episode of the My Latin Life podcast is brought to you by Language Blend, the new best way to learn Spanish. Language Blend focuses on what you actually need to live and get by abroad. With daily one-on-one lessons, a dedicated texting partner, it's like living in a Spanish-speaking country without ever leaving home. Go to languageblend.com for more information. Facts. Little side note here. This is unrehearsed, unplanned, but since Andrew obviously does visa and residency stuff in Asia, um, perhaps, Andrew, if people reach out to you and they mention My Latin Life, they can get treated super nice.
You know what I'll do? I will do a My Latin Life discount. If you email me, goeastgentleman.com@gmail.com, and you mention My Latin Life, or if you just send me a DM, Twitter, or whatever, and you're trying to get a consultation, you're trying to come out, My Latin Life, I will give you guys a discount. I do that for some folks. If you guys are booking consultations, if you're trying to get other services, I will give you guys a discount. So yeah, absolutely. I will let you do that for sure, because I encourage folks to check it out. I encourage those to check out Asia, right? Check out Latin America. Pick the one that works best for you, right? And
Yeah.
whatever
Well,
you
my audience
choose.
is very global. Like they're savvy. They're savvy.
Good, good. And I think you should be. You should be, right? And anybody who goes out there and says a country doesn't have pros and cons, or says that a country is all bad and no good, I would not believe that person. I would not believe that person at all. I can tell you the pros and cons of most countries, and they all have some pro. There's always a pro. It's just, is that pro something for you, or is that pro something that doesn't fit with you?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a pro to Canada. I mean, I can come up with them. Now, they may not work for you, right? You may not be the guy that it helps, right? It might help, Ahmed, if he wants to come in his refugee status, and he's coming, or the guy from Uganda who wants to come in. He's like, well, Uganda sucks. I'm being targeted for my religion. I need to be a refugee. Let me go to Canada. Yeah, that's a pretty good option, right? For that guy. Right? If that guy's asking me for advice, but not for you, right? Like, if I'm saying, okay, I'm a location independent, let's say you're a coder, right? I'm somebody who's a coder or developer, whatever, cybersecurity, you can go pretty much wherever. And I'm a young guy, I'm 20s, 30s. Let's say you're looking for a girl, you're looking for a wife, right? Yeah, I'm not going to tell you to go to Canada, right? I'm not going to say, yeah, you should consider Canada. That's actually the last on the list for that. If you are a older woman and you're a fan of Justin Trudeau's hair, maybe, yeah, Canada's good for you, right? There's always somebody. There's somebody that it's good for. But you've got to be honest about the positive and negatives. And I try to do that on my channel, and I definitely do that in my consultations. I have talked people out of coming to Asia. I've said, you're too poor for that country. Some people, for example, they love anime. They're obsessed with Japan. They're total weebs. They're just absolutely, I watch every episode of Naruto ever. Oh, I saw One Piece, the live action. I want to go to Japan. And I tell them, buddy, how much money do you make? Can you make that remotely? What do you want to live? Where do you want to go? This is not right for you. You cannot afford to live there. It's going to be horrible for you. You're going to be miserable, and you're going to go home. Don't go there, right? Go somewhere else. Maybe check out the Philippines, or check out Brazil, or check out, the DR. Right? That might be better for your budget than, Tokyo. So I will talk people out of it all the time, because I don't want people to make bad choices. And I certainly don't want them to say that I led them down some rosy path, because that's not what it should be. You should be here for the long run, or at least thinking about the long run. That's my
Mm.
opinion.
Yeah, yeah. You know, you mentioned energy, and you definitely have a lot of it, Andrew. Do you think it's something that going abroad kind of like reinvigorated your energy, or you just always been like this?
Oh man, no, I was not. So okay, well, I was and I wasn't. Let me clarify. As a child, I was an energetic, happy, like friendly person. Just want to talk to everybody. Want to go outside and play. I'm just always very active kid. But but working in the U.S., particularly working as a lawyer in a law firm, it killed me, man.
Yeah.
I felt like I mean, I am being a hyperbolic, and I do not joke. I do not think it's bad, but I really was having some dark thoughts. Let's put it that way. Like, I was in a dark place, and I was not myself. I was miserable. I was not happy, but I was making very large six-figure amounts in the US as a lawyer. I was making a ton of money, and I was still unhappy. And I said, what is the problem? And I was getting girls too. People think, oh, well, you only go abroad to get girls. No, I had plenty of date. My date card was booked. My dance card was full. And I said, it's the scenario. It's where I am.
Mm.
Fast forward to today. I look out right now. I'm looking at my window. There's a window right here, and I'm looking out. I'm currently in Jomtien, a little bit south of Pattaya in Thailand, right? Looking at the immigration office, which is right outside my apartment window here. Um, it's a cloudless day. It's sunny. The beach is right over there. There's people walking around that are happy, that are laughing. It's it's a good time. I look out, and as I look out at the ocean, reminds me of Miami, reminds me of growing up. It just makes me happy. It reminds me of that kid that was just a happy, energetic person. I'm reinvigorated every day by waking up here. When I wake up here and I wake up and I open my eyes, I say, I'm in Thailand. I'm not in America. I am happy. I am happy every day to wake up where I am right now.
Well said.
Yeah.
Keep going on that. People love
No,
hearing that.
it's something that you have to find for yourself for the long term. Is this a place you can wake up every day, you can live a normal life, and and be happy there? Because look, I'll tell you this: a lot of folks, for example, here in Thailand, a lot of folks come here for 2 weeks and they have a great time. But I would tell those guys, are you doing normal stuff? Go buy a T-shirt. Go get toothpaste. Go get your hair cut. Go to the dentist. Go get a basic medical check. Do all that stuff. Do the normie stuff. If you are happy doing all that stuff and you're okay and you're good with it, you're going to be able to be happier here. Your resting level of happiness will be better. You should move there. And the constant thing I look for is this place at a good level? Now, it may not be perfect, but I'm willing to say, okay, I found a place where my happiness feels like a kid. I feel like I am invigorated. I feel like I can do my job every day. I wake up wanting to do my job. I wake up happy.
Mhm.
By the way I deal with other people is nicer. Not just women. I mean, that aside, just talking to people, I'm happier. I'm friendlier. I'm a nicer person. As soon as I land in the United States, there's an energy that's sucked out of me, this reverse culture shock. Every time I go home, it happens every time in the airport, because I look around and everyone's miserable. Everyone's miserable. I'm the only happy one. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I realize, oh, because I'm living there. And at the end of the day, when I visit the US, I know I'm going back. That's the key.
Reverse culture shock is a very interesting phenomenon for digital nomads and expats.
Have you been back to Canada since, like, often, or a lot since you left?
Yeah, I pop into the U.S. and Canada pretty frequently, and I mean, I've been an expat since before COVID, so I mean, I do it all the time, and it's always interesting. There's always a couple
Do you see a
epiphanies.
change though? Do you see a change from pre-COVID to post-COVID, or is that?
I wouldn't say overly. I could if I thought about it, but it's more just like I've done the reverse culture shock so many times at this point because I do pop in every like 3 to 6 months that it's like always it's always interesting.
Yeah, it's something that I never thought I would experience the other way around. But at this point, the last time I went home, I felt like an alien. I felt like a stranger because I really have acclimated to life over here. So when I go back there, I'm like, why the fuck do you do it this way? Sorry, I don't know. I don't want to curse too much, but
That's all
you
right.
know, like it was really shocking to me. It was very shocking. I was like, why do we do this that way? And I had to think about it. I'm like, why are you so angry? Like, what do you have to be angry about? And then I thought, I'm like, oh wait, put yourself in their shoes in their life. They're like I was. They think they have no hope. They think they have nowhere to go. They think they have no future. I would act that way too, if that was me.
Give me some more specifics about the reverse culture shock. I think you just have a fun way of explaining things, and so I kind
I
of just
mean,
want
I
to.
mean, okay. Well, there's a funny one. Like the funny one is when I show up, and you'll laugh at this one too. In Latin America, same thing. You show up and you're like, wow, the BMI really is bad here, right? Like Canada and the U.S. I go back and it's in Thailand. If I see a legitimately fat person, it's an exception or it's a foreigner, right? So like foreigners aside, if I see a fat Thai or a fat Korean, right? It's actually like an event. I was up in Seoul and I saw one fat Korean who were like, ha ha, it's a fat Korean. And it's like a rare Pokemon, right? You suddenly
Uh-huh.
found this like random person that is like a ham planet, but they're local, right? Now, of course, foreigners, to come from a foreign country, we normalize it. But I go back and I'm like, we really normalize this. We really normalize the fact that these people are unhealthy. It's not about body positivity or shaming or anything. And it's not about a men-woman thing. There's men and women that are obese. It's not okay for men or for women. It's not okay for anybody. It's not healthy. It's sick. But it's been normalized, and that's one of the things that it's funny at first, but then it becomes serious when you really think about it.
Mm.
Other things that really do other things that really do get me are things like just basic things that we do, and we'll do it a certain way and we'll assume it, from stuff like toilets, right? Like we got I don't know what you guys got down there, if it's the bidet or the gun, but we're really, Thailand's got the gun. They've got a kind of hose, you can use there, or the
Hmm.
bidet. But after you use one of those, you're like, I can't go back to just toilet paper. I mean, I gotta use the fancy toilet. And I'm like, why don't you have the? It's so uncivilized. But that's a funnier one. Something that also comes to me is just civility, right?
That's a big one.
Being
I
nice
don't
and
hear about this that much.
being nice and civil, right? And that's one thing, especially in Asia, particularly in Asia, being in public, civil,
Respectful.
respectful. Yes, it is so nice. And when you don't have it, when you go back to the US and nobody respects in fact, they openly disrespect you. In fact, one of the ways that we like even flirt and communicate is like by disrespecting each other, right? Like our no, it's true. Like our whole culture is like dissing on people or trashing on people or attacking people. Whereas like it's the polar opposite. You are given by default respect and reference, both in actions and in behavior, right? And in language, right? In language. When you don't know a stranger, you use the polite tone of the language, whether it's Korean or Thai, right? If you're talking to a random stranger, you don't just come up and talk to them like they're your bro. You have to develop a relationship to get comfortable to that level. You default to respect. And that is permeated through the culture, that's permeated. And I love that. That to me, it's a civilized element of a culture which we have lost. We had it at some point. And don't the West had it. We did have that, but we got rid of it because we said it was antiquated, toxic, colonial, misogynist, whatever labels they want, racist, whatever they want to put on it, right?
Yeah,
All
we
of that
moved
stuff was
very
demonized.
casual, like in our dress and in our
Yes.
communications. You know, I always think of like girls wearing sweatpants in public.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes, that's the example I used. The sweatpants in public. They would. I go to Tokyo. Those girls would be shot before they are seen in sweatpants in public. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
really, I thought
Sweat.
Tokyo was kind of like out there wearing weird stuff, but
No, no, no,
yeah,
no, no,
I
no,
get
no. But yeah,
it.
see, no, no. But you're misunderstanding. You're misunderstanding.
Hit me.
Sweatpants is casual. Avant-garde is different. It's not casual. It's actually very formal because you're being intentionally avant-garde. It's like artsy, right?
There's
It's
an
like high
effort there.
fashion, right?
Yeah.
It's with intent. It's with thought. When they put together style, even if it's a casual style, they're doing it with an intent to create a result. It's the girl who puts on sweatpants. It's just lazy. Like let's call it what it is. It's just being lazy, or the guy, whatever. You put on a t-shirt and sweatpants, it's because you don't care. It's because you're just trying to walk out and you really don't care at all. That's what's going on. So, we'll just call it what it is, see what it is, and it's
Yeah.
it's something I appreciate, that when I go places, people will dress up. When I go to venues that call for it, they'll do it. In fact, the presumption is, if I go out, let's say I'm going on a date, I'm single. So if I go on a date, the girls will dress up, right? I don't need to tell them. I don't need to say, oh yeah, this is a super nice place, please dress up. They'll just do it, right? So
Mm.
it's known, and when you talk to a storekeeper, anyone, even a stranger, they are deferential, and they treat you with respect, and they're thoughtful. I don't Latin America doesn't have it as much, but they just do it without saying a name for it. But over here, there's, in different languages, there's a word for kind of reading the air, right? Which is kind of predicting what the other person wants. So,
Mm.
for example, um, if I am cleaning my mouth with a napkin and there's only one napkin on the table, before I go to need another napkin, they give you one, right? They see you doing something. They see it's like seeing the glass. You're drinking a glass and you're about to run out of water, and they automatically do it without you asking for it. Those sort of things, those sort of reading the air, that happens so much more often here than back at home. Where folks, if they do something like that, it's only because they're told, or it's company policy, or because they're maybe tipped. Tips are optional. You don't have to tip. In fact, in Korea, for example, tips are rude. Tips are rude, but they will go out of the way. Taxi driver, for example, will go out of the way. If you leave your sunglasses or your wallet in the car, they'll chase you down and deliver it
Yeah.
back to you. I left my bank card in a cafe for 2 days and nobody took it. My bank card. I mean, it's crazy. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. But I mean, that's a difference in levels of respect, civility, and being able to understand and appreciate the concerns of others. And I think that's very important for any culture or society.
Yeah, this is huge. We have elements of this in Latin America, which I appreciate, but it's definitely not all the way of getting your sunglasses back.
Yeah.
But we do have elements of that where, they say para servirle, or, you walk into an elevator and they say buenos dias, they say, con permiso, like, which is like, excuse me. And so there's definitely some elements of that in Latin America that I really appreciate, that I appreciate overall. I think Asia kind of takes it to another level in
It's
some ways.
extreme. It's
Is
extreme.
there like
Yeah.
a paradox though? Because there is kind of a thing where, like, don't, like, Chinese people have like no consideration for like skipping lines and like spitting on the ground and stuff
Well,
like
yeah.
that?
So when I say, like, obviously we'll talk about like regional things, but there's a huge amount of variance once you're here. And the
Mm,
funny thing is, with getting used to living in Asia, and I'm sure you see this in Latin America too, right? Actually, that's a good question for you. Like, for example, a lot of people say, "Oh, well, all Latin girls are passionate," right? But you might move to, let's say, Uruguay or Ecuador,
you
and you're
know.
like, And you're like, oh, well, these girls compared to Brazilian girls, they're pretty calm, right? You know what I mean? Like you see
Right.
the relative difference. But
Hmm.
when you're moving from the US, the difference is so great that you can't see the relative difference. The relative difference doesn't show for you. But after you've acclimated and you've lived here, for me, it's now night and day. I can tell without even knowing the language, although I do know I can tell Chinese, Korean, Japanese. I speak some Korean and Japanese, so it's very clear for me. But just on their behaviors, their mannerism, their style, I can tell if someone's Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Thai, Vietnamese, Filipino. Like it's very clear to me when I see the person in person.
Hmm.
Like, oh, they're Filipino. Oh, that they're clearly Thai or they're clearly Singaporean or whatever. So like I can tell the differences with Chinese nationals. Now, of course, I'll say the caveat. I'll say it once and I'll never say it again. Not all people from a country are a certain way, but and
Hmm.
I've actually dated a lot of Chinese girls. A lot of them are really cool, especially the ones living abroad. But when it comes to stuff like cues and lines, yeah, they're not great at that, right? As a whole, that's not something they're great at. They're also not good with like for example, like the thoughtfulness. They do it for their family, but for strangers, there's not as much of that.
Hmm.
Japan's a lot different, right? Where it's like even strangers you're giving a lot of deference to. Whereas in
Hmm.
China, it's like, well, I don't know you, so I don't necessarily owe you that level of deference, right? Like that extreme level of deference. So there is some difference with different countries, right? So within different countries, it can be based on their society, right? Obviously, China, I mean, they've got a very long history and culture. They're also under one of the most oppressive communist regimes in the history of the world, versus, let's say, somewhere like here in Thailand. They're really Buddhist here, like really Buddhist. Like they
Hmm.
really internalize it. Yeah, Korea, Japan are technically have a lot of Buddhists, but like you feel it here. You're like,
Hmm.
oh yeah, this is like really Buddhism, and it's really internalized as part of the culture, the language, and you see that you see these differences. And I'm sure you can tell me similar things in South America.
Hey guys, quick interruption to tell you about Bitrefill. Bitrefill is the best way to convert your crypto into gift card balances. These are gift cards that you can spend at hotels.com, Airbnb, Nike, and many more. You may remember Joel Valenzuela, previous podcast guest. He's been living on crypto exclusively since 2015, and he's a big consumer of Bitrefill. And so I asked Joel, I said, what do you like most about Bitrefill? He said that he likes the instant delivery, the precise amounts so that you don't have to juggle a lot of gift cards, and he loves the global selection. Nobody else has this much selection of gift cards, over 10,000 gift card options across hundreds of countries. Go to bitrefill.com to sign up, and you can also use the code MyLatinLife for 10% back off your first purchase. Go to bitrefill.com for more information.
In Central America, I'm sure you've
Hmm.
had the same
Yeah,
experience.
I mean, sounds like you kind of know some of the broad strokes. Moving on past the differences stuff, because that could be hours and hours of content, I'm sure.
Content.
So I want to hit on a couple different things. I want to get to visas and residencies and stuff, but I did have a
Sure.
question that's kind of uh, there's nowhere to fit this one in. So I'm just curious. Did in terms of building out Go East Gentlemen, did you feel you had to get to a certain point of like not FU status, but you know what I mean, like independence with your other income streams to be able to put yourself out there in that way with Go East, where
A
it
100%. 100%. I needed a certain amount of I am here and I am solid. I know what I'm talking about. I've got my own visa and stuff sorted, right? I'm not here floating, doing border runs, whatever. I am completely locked in. I'm on track for permanent residency in Thailand. I've been close to qualifying for in Korea. We may end up doing something there, but they're changing their rules, so I'm staying attuned to that one. But I'm on top of this stuff, and I got to a point of self sufficiency where I said, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do this myself, and I don't care about this business being my main money maker. There's some months where I book a dozen consultations. There's some months where I only have a couple, right? But and this happens, by the way, during the high tourist seasons versus low tourist seasons. So if I
Sure.
have a lot of people coming in and they're visiting during the winter, for example, we call that high season in here in Thailand, because
Mhm.
everybody comes to Thailand in December, January, and February, especially you Canucks, you Canadians, because it's cold, right? They don't
Right.
want to be there, so they're
Right.
coming somewhere warm. So that's busy. These are busy months for me. December is really busy. January, February, really busy months for me. I have tons of consultations. I'm booked out for. I'm booked out already a lot. So if you're
And I
interested, I would
imagine this is
suggest
like a more of this is like the passion business side of things, because
it
this
is.
can't be nearly as profitable as doing normal law stuff in Florida and whatever, right?
It's not. No, it's not. It's not. But I'm happier. And
Yeah.
what's more valuable to me? My time and my happiness is more valuable than a raw dollar amount. What does it matter if you pay me $200,000 if I'm fucking miserable? Okay. I'll tell people, I took a 70% pay cut moving off of my corporate job to freelance and to do YouTube and freelance work and then start Go East eventually full time. I've built it out to where, okay, I'm about at what I was making when I left, right? With all of my stuff combined, but it took me years to get there.
Yeah.
It was
Dude,
not
you've
easy.
done a lot of videos. Like I think you kind of mentioned this offline, that you edit a lot of them yourself,
Yes,
because
now I edit
not
everything
just
myself. Yeah.
you have 1,200 videos on legal mindset and 300 videos on Go East Gentlemen. That's a
Keep
lot. It's
working.
1,500 videos in
Keep
3 years, dude. That's a lot of
keep
videos.
keep working. Do not stop. That's the key. That the
That's
key is
more
you
than a video a day. That's 1.5 videos a day.
sometimes, yeah, sometimes. Yeah. You've got to do it if you want. Do you want to? Do you want? I'm not here. Look, I'm not a guy to say it's easy. It's not easy. It's not easy. But you should choose it because it's the not easy path. Choose the hard path because it'll build you into a harder, better, more resilient person. Sometimes you choose to do the hard thing because it will improve you, right? When somebody, for example, tells me, oh, well, that language is hard to learn, right? I'm like, that's an opportunity because that means not many people are learning that, which means if I do learn it well, then I stick out, I stand out,
Yeah.
right? So that's not something that deters me. For
Yeah.
other people, it deters them, and that's fine. I'm not telling you have to learn a super complicated snake language like some of the Southeast Asian
Snake
languages.
language. I might
I
steal
tell the Thai, they laugh. The
that.
Thais, people here will laugh. Thais, Vietnamese, all laugh. I mean, they look ridiculous. You look at the written language, you're like, what is this? Is it a moon rune? What is this? But like, it's worth it because when you actually do it, you break above everybody else. You
It's
break
true. It's a
out, you
rarefied skill set.
distinguish yourself. The people that have been here, I'm like, hats off to you. Like, you made it, especially before the internet. I can be lazy and listen to YouTube videos on how to pronounce, how much is that or whatever, drop me off here in Thai, right? I can listen to that and it's really convenient for me to learn the language. These guys, these old gristled birds that are out here for 30, 40, 50 years, they had to learn off of books. They had to learn off to listening to people, right? That is difficult. And I have a lot of respect for those guys. So I would say choose the hard path sometimes. Choose it. And it's going to be a hard path to leave. Whether you
So,
end up in
so
Latin
you
America, Asia,
record,
wherever, it's a hard path.
you edit and record and publish yourself 1.5 videos every single day.
Yes, I do take breaks. I do take
Right, you kind of
vacations.
stack it a
Right.
bit,
So
but yeah,
that comes out in the reality. That's probably 2 videos some days, 0 videos some days, 1 day video other days. Right. That's how that
it's
comes
a lot of
out.
work. That's a lot of work.
Well, I'm not, I'm not afraid of work. I am not afraid of
You got
working hard.
energy, bro. You got
Yeah,
energy.
I've got it. And what puts me in it is living here. I got great food. I got beautiful women. I've got the beautiful weather outside. I'm gonna go walk. I'm gonna after this. I gotta I gotta go grab lunch. But it's gonna be a great day. It's gonna be a fantastic day, and I have no doubt about that.
I
I have
love his.
zero doubt in my mind about that.
We gotta hang out, man. All right, so do you live
Yeah.
full time in Bangkok or on the beach?
I actually split my time now. So I split my time between Bangkok and Jomtien near Pattaya because I am now doing immigration work. And
Pattaya
for
is sorry to interrupt. Pattaya is Pattaya.
Pattaya, Pattaya, people say it differently. I don't give it. I don't
Okay,
care.
so you're kind of out near
Pattaya,
there.
Pattaya. I
Okay.
split my time between a little bit south of Pattaya, but it's where the immigration office is in Jomtien Beach. People who are Thais will or know Thailand will know
They'll
that area.
know.
The
Okay.
immigration office is right there. So I do immigration for folks that are here and folks who are in Bangkok because those are the two main locations, and especially for English speaking foreigners. So
Hmm.
obviously that's my prime clientele. I could probably do a consultation in German, maybe in Spanish, but I would prefer not to. I would prefer to speak English. So let's try to stick it to
Okay.
that.
Tell me one thing though. Is like the water must be pretty like gucky there because you're in this like bay and it's Asia, or is it clean?
It's clean.
It's
It's clean. I'll
clean.
take a picture of the water and I'll send it to you. It's very clean. I'll go by the
Yeah.
ocean. I'll take a picture of the water. It's not dirty at all. It's not nasty. Now there are areas. There are like more stagnant areas where you wouldn't go, or areas near an industrial area, or near a shipping port. Or in the middle of the very
Okay.
middle of
But
the city. Right.
Jomtien Beach is pretty clean.
Very
It's good.
nice.
Yeah.
Dongtan Beach, Jomtien Beach. You can see how it looks. It's very, very clean,
All
actually.
right. I'm
So
looking at it now. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah, yeah.
Just
I mean, I'll take a
side
picture for you.
note.
Walk outside.
Side because it's like in a bay and like normally in a bay it's like
Yeah,
not. Yeah.
but the
Yeah.
bay, it's not a small bay. Like the Gulf
It's
of
a big
Thailand is
bay.
like relatively big.
Okay.
Like
It's like a
yeah.
bay within a bay. Anyway.
A bay within a bay. Yeah, yeah. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. So people at My Latin Life, our audience, we really talk a lot about residency stacking, getting residencies in multiple countries,
Cool.
citizenship in multiple countries, living that James Bond lifestyle, bank
Hmm.
accounts around the world. A lot of people are in crypto and they need like off ramps and this and that. Um, but
I can get them. I can get them. I can get them a Thai bank account if they need a Thai bank account. But the thing is, especially with Asia, is there are, and this is the one thing about Asia, which is a little bit more tough. They have real requirements for citizenship. It's not a joke to become a citizen.
so
Now,
I'll tell you what I think.
I
Sorry to
like
interrupt.
that. I like that.
I like that too. Here's my impression is that from what I've heard just from like nomad capitalists and whatever, is that South Korea, it's possible to get citizenship. Maybe Laos, Cambodia that has a program, and then like maybe Sri Lanka, but everywhere else in Asia, it's like impossible to get citizenship.
So I'm going to tell you the real facts. And look, all due respect, but I've actually looked at the processes a little bit more closely than Nomad Capitalist has for some of those countries. So like it's possible on paper, and is it going to happen? With South
Hmm.
Korea, functionally, if you're not a Korean or a Kyopo, what they call them, so that's a Korean who's maybe living abroad,
Hmm.
you're becoming a citizen in Korea is going to be a hurdle. Plus, you're going to need to serve if you're a guy, right? They're going to take you and put you in the army. So maybe you should think, hey, do I want to do that, or do I want my kids to have to do that? Right?
Mm.
Because that becomes their obligation. So recommending people to become a citizen in Korea is, I think, something that might be a little bit foolish versus a
Okay.
PR.
So
Because
conscription is a real
yeah, it's a real thing.
issue.
And
Okay.
here's the thing: if you know about the different levels here, citizenship and PR. If you're a PR
Yeah.
in most of these countries, you can do everything. I mean, the
Yeah.
only
My,
thing
my
you probably
audience
can't,
does. Yeah.
the
They
only
know
thing you
like
can't,
TR, PR, citizenship.
yeah, TR, PR, and citizenship. Most people, PR is all they want. They don't really want citizenship. You might not want the conscription requirements. You might not want other things that may imply under the law of that country, right? You may not want that. You may just want a PR. And for Korea, I think a PR is just fine. I think people should be very happy just getting a PR as a foreigner in Korea. Now, other countries, right? They some of them don't have real PR programs. They have kind of a semi
Right.
PR, quasi PR programs. But you can get real PR in a place like Thailand or the Philippines. It is definitely possible for you to get that there. Sri Lanka, I haven't looked into, but frankly, for me, for citizenship,
Yep.
my thing is if I'm stacking a citizenship, I want to really be on board with with that country, with the culture of that country, with the direction of that country. Because, mind you, they can require stuff of their citizens going forward. So you need to really look at that country and understand that country before you just mindlessly stack a citizenship without thinking
My
about that.
understanding is without renouncing or like really burdenous requirements. I think like there's very few in what do you call it? Western Asia, basically,
Yes.
right? Like
East
East
Asia,
Asia.
East Asia has
Sorry, I'm
very
tripping.
few. It's
East
all good.
Asia,
West
East,
Asia's Europe, but
right?
yeah,
Uzbekistan.
Russia. But yeah, no, it's
Um,
very hard to get citizenship. It's very difficult to get
is there
citizenship.
anywhere you can? I think
Well,
Cambodia that has like a
well,
program.
well. I'll tell
Give
you
us the
what.
juicy
I'll
stuff.
tell you what. This Andrew will tell you what the other Andrew will never tell you, which is there's always a way to juice it. And I'm going to leave it at there. We're just going to leave the microphone on the table, and I'll just say in a lot of those smaller countries, there's juice that can be
There's a
applied
way.
to make a lot of things happen. I mean, in a Cambodia or a Laos, they were living on $1 a day for decades in Cambodia. If you come in with a certain amount of cash, right, that solves a lot of problems in a lot of areas of the world, and there's still areas of the world like that. Myanmar, yeah, sure, yeah, you're coming in there with millions of dollars, right? I'm sure they'll make a lot of things happen for you. But ask yourself, do you want to live in Myanmar, which is currently undergoing a civil war and could
Right.
conscript you, or could put could put whatever out, could have a bounty on you, whatever else,
No, I get it. I get
could
it. I get it.
extradite you.
Uh,
For what? For what? So you have citizenship in Myanmar. You have a Myanmar passport. Congrats, bro. That does nothing for you.
I mean, there is value to a second passport,
No,
and
no, 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 no,
certainly
no. Don't let me knock. There is value to it, but what I'm saying is you should be thoughtful about it. That's all.
yeah.
There's value to it, but I wouldn't do it thoughtlessly.
So are there any like I guess let me there's so many ways I could phrase this, but are there any programs that you're excited about, Andrew, in Asia, or
Mm.
go-to programs that you recommend people either as a PR or a path to citizenship? I guess take it however you want.
Okay, I'm going to talk about kind of different things here. So first, I am excited to see a trend, and there's a trend, and this is something I'm very, very excited about. And this is what people talk. People get really worried about the Asian population thing. A lot of people are neg on Asia because the birth rates are low. You're not, especially I'm from America, you're from Canada. We're looking at each other. I know this will come out as a podcast. You'll just hear the audio, but we're both white guys here, right? So, we're not,
Nobody knows this.
nobody knows it. Oh, I doxed you. Oh
It's fine.
no.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. But the point is that it's, it's something where you think, okay, I'm not from this country, so I'm not born there. I'm trying to come in. Their low population means they need skilled, talented, accomplished foreigners.
Yeah.
That's you. That's me.
Yeah.
They need us. Because of that, they're all dropping their PR standards. Now it's Asia, so they're
Really?
doing it
They're
slowly.
dropping the standards. That's a trend.
Yes, they're dropping it in Korea, Japan, some of the most notoriously xenophobic countries. If I was going to say they're the most protectionist, we'll call it protectionist with their immigration, Korea and Japan. They are making it easier and easier and easier for PR. And they're going to have to continue that because they're not correcting that trend. So the only way
Right.
to correct the trend for labor is to bring in skilled foreigners. But they're doing it right. They don't have open borders. They're saying, no, we want people who know what they're doing. They're now starting a digital nomad. They're playing with it. They're floating the idea. They're moving towards a digital nomad visa in Korea. I think they'll have it within a year or two. They've been delaying it a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
But Japan, they've lowered their PR requirements. They're going to continue to have to lower them. They're doing it begrudgingly, but that's an opportunity for the people that want to get a PR, that want to be able to say,
Here's
hey,
the
I've got
golden standard, though. In this last segment, I'm doing a bad job
Sure.
of cutting you off, but just trying to get to some juicy
all good,
stuff.
homie.
But the golden kind of standard for PR and residency programs in general, especially in Asia, where it's pretty far away for most English speakers, is a PR that can be maintained with low physical presence.
Yes.
What's the idea in Asia? Is Asia generally okay with low physical presence, or is everything that we're talking about here going to require, 3 to 6 months a year of presence? Or
So the presence is really an issue. It's always going to be an issue up front, right? So you're not going to be able to maintain this with a month of presence every year in Japan, because you're going to have to be there for at least 2, 3, 4, 5 years, right? Now, currently, those numbers are dropping. It may be eventually where if you're there for a year continuously, you can apply for PR, right? Apply for a points-based system of PR. Now, for physical presence, I don't want to give an overarching because it varies wildly. But for example, here in Thailand, that's not really a thing after you have PR. You got PR, you got PR, right? You've got some mandatory tax filings you can do, but you can engage a firm like my firm down here that does that for you so you can live your best remote life. You can come hang out here for a week, a year. It doesn't matter once you've hit PR. That's the clear thing. Once you've hit PR, you may have to do your time in the game here. You may have to stay here a significant part of your year, but you're working towards PR. It's equity. It's literally equity of your presence in that country, right? Think of it like you're paying a mortgage to buy it down. But once you bought it down, you can do a lot more with it, right? Your bank can't dictate as many terms. You've got it. So a lot of countries do have mandatory filings, tax filings. Some of them have a physical presence requirement. But look, if you're having PR, you should at least want to be there a couple days of a year, right? At least stop in for a day or two a year. Dubai, for example, if you're getting their PR, you've got to be there for at least 1 day a year. I think that's reasonable. I don't think that's unreasonable to require 1 day a year.
Yeah, 1 day a year is pretty chill.
Layover.
Yeah. I thought Asia might be like a little strict, and some of them
some
won't renew
countries
you
are
don't do like 6 months a year. Even like El Salvador, you need to do 6 months a year to maintain at least TR. But yeah, so that's I was just wondering.
TR is different. Now TR is different than PR. You guys know the difference. So TR, yes, for example, one of my visas in Korea, it was granted every year, but I was not allowed to spend more than 3 months outside of Korea. So they had a hard limit on my total time outside the company. So I had a yearly visa, right? So that would renew and I could stay there as long as I want. I could come and go theoretically as much as I want, but I couldn't be gone for more than 3 months. So, I can come and go freely, but 3 months is your limit. So you do have to be mindful of that. And there are strict limits on that because, Asia wants you to take immigration seriously. They don't want it to be a joke. They don't want shammers and scammers. And I like that because when I walk the streets, I can be safe here because I know that those bad apples aren't let in. They don't get in because they stay strict on the rules and because they really are looking at the letter of the law.
Hey, everybody. Quick break from the podcast to tell you about Language Blend, the best new way to learn Spanish. Language Blend was co-founded by Jake Nomada, friend of the podcast, decade of experience in Latin America. And Jake and his team, they put everything into this program that they wish they had in terms of how to level up quickly with your Spanish language skills. Because the faster that you can get conversationally fluent in Spanish, the better the experience that you're going to have in Latin America. So go to languageblend.com for more information. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, a little bit hard to make it like a cohesive subject when all the countries are a little bit different in terms of what are the requirements for TR versus PR versus path to citizenship.
We could do, if we did that's why I break it down on Go East. I do some general stuff, but I like to do like, here's for Korea, here's for Japan, here's for Thailand, here's for the Philippines, here's for Laos, right? Whatever you're interested in, Malaysia. They're all specific, and some of the programs that look the same, for example, the retirement programs, they're wildly different from Malaysia to Indonesia to Thailand to the Philippines. They're all different. It's not the same thing. Even if they call it a retirement visa, what they could require from you can be wildly different.
So what are some of the programs you're most excited about in Asia? Like Thai is the 10-year golden visa or whatever. I heard they like 10x.
No, actually, I think that one is kind of a loser. I think that one's gotten too much. I think that one's gotten too much press. I think that one is actually really oversold. And I think it's actually never gets you PR. That's the one thing about that. It's kind of a sucker's bet. But a lot of folks that have been inside the shill, inside the grift, that kind of are getting that money. It moved from Thai elite to Thai privilege. That program I think is inferior if you want PR. If you want PR, you should be here either working, business visa, education, something else, and be doing that for a significant period of time. Learn a little Thai, right? That's always going to help you. And we can get you on a path to actual real PR. You are actually, by going into those special elite visa, now the privilege visa, you're actually kind of screwing yourself. You're eliminating your ability to get PR and you're locking your tax rate in. You're actually promising you're going to pay them at a set tax rate. I don't want to do that. I don't want to say that. We've got a double tax treaty as Americans, and Canadians have a tax treaty as well. There's a lot of exemptions you can get into and a lot of accounting you can do to reduce your taxes here. So, especially playing with your tax residency, which is definitely a relevant issue in Thailand. So, I would advise you not to just look at the visa options at what's advertised and look at some others. So business visa, the same people that come in here on a Thai elite or privilege visa, they'd be better off setting up a business. They'd be far better off setting up a business. Or if they're older, and by the way, Thailand, the limit is 50. You can have a retirement visa at 50, and the requirements are very, very, very easily met. So those are things that I think are far superior options for folks when you dig a little bit beyond the flashy surface.
So it sounds like you like the student visas and the business visas.
Yeah, business, employment, student, learning Muay Thai. You want to do Muay Thai. You want
Is
to
there a
actually
visa
learn
for
Thai.
that?
Oh yeah. There's a Muay Thai visa. In
Is
fact,
that serious? Okay.
I'm dead serious. There's a Muay Thai visa. I'm not even joking right now. I had a guy, I was getting cash from the ATM. He's like, hey, touch my arm. He's a Muay Thai teacher. He gives me his card. He said, hey, if you need a visa, I can help you. I'm laughing. I'm like, no, Pombin Tanai Kwam Ti America. I'm an American attorney and I have a business here, right? And he's like laughing because he's like, oh, I get it. You have a visa. You don't need this. But it's a very easy way. If you want to get ripped, you want to be fit, go do Muay Thai. Go roll and do Muay Thai. One class a week. That's all you got to do. One class a week of Muay Thai. Now, I will say this is a thing that they've been cracking down on. You do have to actually go. Okay, if you end up going to the visa office and you're 600 pounds and you look like you've never worked out in your life and you're telling you're there on a Muay Thai visa, they're going to ask some questions. They're going to go look at your attendance records. If you are there on a Thai language class, and they ask you "Sabadi mai," and you just look at them like you're dead, and don't have a response. Yeah, they're gonna ask some questions. They're gonna go and validate that, and you could get blacklisted if you're not doing it, if you're breaking the rules. So I would say if you're doing education, it's awesome, it's a great visa, but actually do it. Right? Actually go and do it. And it's worthwhile, right? It's worthwhile to, if you're in Latin America, to take a Spanish class. I think it's helpful, right? I mean, I think that wouldn't hurt anybody if you had a very good visa program in a certain country for taking one Spanish class a week. I think that's a fantastic program. I think that'd be great for TR.
Couple quick questions here.
Sure.
I want to be respectful of your time, but
Sure.
you ever look at the Taiwanese visas? Taiwan has a cool one, the gold card, where it's like if you earn like 120K or 150K,
Yes.
you can work towards PR and actually eventually get
Yes.
Taiwanese citizenship.
Yes. I have looked at those. I would not do those because I don't want to live in Taiwan. And I say that not with any disrespect to Taiwan. I actually love Taiwanese. I actually have some good friends who are Taiwanese. I have a friend who's a comic book artist. She's a really good friend of mine. She has awesome comics. She's half Taiwanese. Amazing place. It's really fun. A lot of the anime motifs are actually based on Taiwan. A lot of those Taiwanese villages with the lanterns, like from Spirited Away. That's all Taiwan. It's a cool place, cool culture, but I don't want to be there. And frankly, and I did steal this. I'll give credit to Caleb Jones on this one. The kind of 2% rule, which I even make down to the 1% rule. That's my personal rule, which is if there's more than 1% risk of anything bad happening, I don't like that. That's not something I like. And I think Taiwan definitely falls above that in probability, and just issues with Taiwan, just issues going on there. They also had a very strict COVID lockdown, which is something I watched because the reaction to that and the relative reaction of different countries really was telling. in places I would want to live in. So it's not a place I think I would choose that for, because to get those PRs, you have to spend significant time there. I don't want to do
Mm-hmm.
that. But
Got it.
I love Taiwan. I'll visit Taiwan. I got no problem with Taiwan. Taiwan might be right for some other people. Some people who say YOLO, I'm not afraid of no CCP invasion. Go for it. Go for it. It's going to
Do
be
you know
great for
Caleb
you.
Jones personally?
No, I do. I do not know him personally, but I have read his books. I've watched some of his videos, and I think some of his advice is good advice. Not all of it, but some of it is good advice.
Who are some of your biggest influences?
Some of my biggest influences, I think Sovereign Man was a good one. That was a great book that I read. That was a good influence. Um, and frankly, when I really go back into it, it's my family. I look at my grandfather and my great grandfather, who went from Belgium to Haiti and built a business empire from Haiti, right? Of all countries, Haiti, right?
Mm.
And built a business empire there. I still have family that absolutely runs stuff down there. I have distant family that were lawyers that were working abroad for back in the old days for like Polish kings, right? They left where they were at in Germany and France, and they went over and worked in Poland and Eastern Europe. And I think back to that and I say, these guys were, what balls did it take to leave your little village? There's no cell phone. There's not even any post, and go live across the world. What type of man am I? What type of guy am I if I don't have the balls to take action on my dream in a place where I can just pick up my phone and I can just call my family? I can just order whatever I want on my phone. I am a spineless sack if I don't go do this right now. So I did it. I went and did it. And I really felt like, in almost an Asian way, like I will shame my family, right? If I do not do this, like shame the bloodline if I do not do this. I just felt this calling from inside so much. So I just read books that enabled me to do that, right? I read different things that enabled me to do that. And I've taken good things. What my philosophy is take the good that people know about. So if they don't know what they're talking about, I don't listen to them. I don't listen to my fitness trainer for financial advice. I
Mm.
listen to him on how to do a deadlift, right? I listen to my banker on, stocks and bonds. I don't listen to him on how to fight, disease or whatever else, right? Everybody's got their area and thing they're good at. So I focus on what people are good at and I take from everybody. And even people are that I disagree with. Like I may disagree with some things. For example, you said Caleb. I may disagree with some things he says. I agree with other things he said, and I've adopted them because they're good ideas, like time management, right? Like habit formation. Those are good things. Take those over, use those, implement those.
What about Jim Rogers?
Jim Rogers, I will say, I don't want to say be an influence. I have heard of him, right? But definitely not somebody that I've said I model my
Not too
life
familiar with. You
after. Yeah,
should
I'm
because
familiar with him.
he moved from the southern United States to
Mm-hmm.
Singapore.
Mm-hmm.
And really, dude, you should really look him
Adventure
more.
Capitalist. That's the one I read. Adventure Capitalist. That's
A
the one I
venture
read.
capitalist, venture
Yeah.
capitalist. Give me a
Yeah.
couple more because I feel like you are quite versed in this stuff. If you've gone
So,
all the way to like build a YouTube channel, all this stuff, you know a lot of the guys. You know,
yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, and I say I know, and we talked about this before the show. Like I know some of the guys in the red pill sphere, the manosphere, although I would not call myself that guy, right? But I took what they implemented regarding dating, like for example, Rollo Tomasi's The Rational Male. I think
yeah,
there's good things to pull out of that, right? I don't adopt everything, and I disagree with Rollo, but I do it in a respectful way. If I have him in my Twitter DMs, if I want to DM him and talk to him, I can talk to him. But
hmm
once again, I focus on what's good and what's positive for my life. There are people that know more or less about Asia, for example. So the people that have more experience over here, I can listen to a little bit more. People that might not know what they're talking about, I might listen to them a little bit less, right?
right.
So like if I look through books that I'm reading, I can just like look through my library real quick and see what I would read. Um, Aaron Clarey, great guy. I liked. I really liked his bachelor pad economics. Kind
Who's
of
that? Aaron
Aaron
Clary.
Clarey. Aaron Clarey. He's I think he went by Captain Capitalism for a while, but he's really good about guys getting out on their own, guys doing their own thing. He wrote The Curse of the High IQ, Bachelor of Economics. So a lot of good books that helped me think about living on my own, being on my own, and the skills I want to develop going forward.
Sorry. Imagine going to, Thanksgiving dinner. It's like, so what's up lately? It's like, oh, I wrote a book, The Curse of the High IQ.
IQ. Yeah. Yep. Yep. What's some other books I got in here? I'm just looking through this Psychology of Money. What else do I got in here? I read a lot of science fiction as well. I'm a big fan of a lot of different things, but I think I just finished reading oh man, a lot of different science fiction stuff, some more obscure stuff.
Yeah.
Clavel, the Clavel novels like Taipan
Mhm.
and Shogun. They're making a Shogun show. I really like that one as well. Um, just looking at people I had a strong influence on. I've read Jordan Peterson. I took what was good. I left a lot of it at the gate. I've read Mystery. I've read Robert Greene. Robert Greene, huge influence.
Sure,
48
sure.
Laws of Power, Seduction. Great books. I take the good things from them without necessarily taking all of those things from them.
Yeah. So a couple more things, and we'll wrap this up. I noticed on your Go East channel,
Sure.
by far your breakout video was basically why you should leave Canada. Why do you think that's
Any topic on Canada gets everybody going because Canada is 100% a place people are trying to escape from. It's
what do
just
you think it
crazy.
is that you said that resonated with people?
My Canadian clients feel the imminence of pressure in Canada. I mean, you have insane house costs, you have crazy social pressures, you have a medical system that even makes the American medical system look. But it makes it look positive by comparison, just in terms of, look, if you're waiting in line, the guy with cancer is waiting in line with a boy with the sniffles, right? Like they're in the same queue, to get services. So you've got all these issues and you're having a country which is being fundamentally changed, under your nose, particularly for the last 10 years. And you've seen the value of the Canadian dollar erode. You've seen the culture erode. You've seen the lockdown. You've seen people be actually prohibited from coming in the country. I've had people here in Thailand that they tell me when they go home to Canada, they were stopped and they were essentially ransomed by the Canadian tax authorities because they just felt like they were making more money. And they said, well, we feel like you're making more money, so you need to give us all this tax payments that you should
What
have
what
been
happened
paying.
there? Tell me about that.
I don't want to say anybody's identity, so I want to
Sure,
be
no,
very,
I
very
get that.
anonymous with this. So there's a very wealthy individual here in Thailand. He has a Thai business. He is very profitable in Thai business. And he told me that when he went home to Canada, he was there with his at the time he was married, and he was there with his family, sister, brother, other stuff. They were going through the airport. They let everybody through, but they stopped him. And they pulled him into secondary, and they said, we can't prove you've done anything wrong, but we're looking at your taxes and it seems like you owe us more money because you are
Wow.
living a lifestyle that is too nice based on what you say you have. So we're going to estimate this as your expenses unless you prove to us it's otherwise. So we had to go back and get documents saying, oh no, look, this is what I made. Blah blah blah. They said, well, this should have been paid to Canada, even though it all happened in Thailand, even though it's all Thai business, even though subject to the Thai Canadian tax treaty, he should have no liability for those taxes. They held him up for it and made him pay it before they let him leave his own country. That is psycho. When a country will not allow its own citizens to leave, that's called a jail, right? Australia did that as well, by the way, for a while.
Yeah.
But when you don't allow your citizens to leave during COVID, I repeatedly heard people saying, I can't leave, right? The issue should not be that you can or can't leave a country. When you have to worry about that, that's tyranny. That's tyranny when you can't freely enter and exit your own country. And it's not because of another country doing that. It's because of your own country doing it to your own citizens. That's to me, that's fundamentally wrong in any country, when any country does that.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird how entering and exiting is like an attack vector. But if you're
Right.
just in the country and you're chilling,
Yes.
they
It's
never like
cool.
show up at your door. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. They don't care if you're in. They just care if you're entering and exiting. That's the risk.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
We're just two risky guys. We're just two risky guys in different parts of the world.
Yeah, I mean it's been a really interesting discussion, kind of hearing more about what things are like on the other side in Europe, or sorry, in Asia. I'm tripping because here
I've been to Europe
it's
too.
damn
Don't
near
don't
midnight.
don't let me no don't let me sleep on it here. There's I've been to almost all of Europe. I didn't make this choice not having been to Poland, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Slovenia,
Hmm.
Austria, Germany, Spain, France, England, the Nordic countries, Denmark, all that. I've done it all. I've done those countries except for some of the Russian countries.
Yeah.
I actually went to Ukraine when I was drunk. Somebody I was drunk in Krakow with my friends, and one of them was this really hot Ukrainian girl, and she's like, "Let's party in Kiev." So we literally got on a train while we were drunk, went to Kiev, we partied for the weekend, and went right back. This was before all the craziness, before all the stuff. I don't remember anything. I was drunk off my ass the entire time, but I had a good time in Kiev. That was a
Yeah,
long time ago, though.
I like it.
Haven't been to Russia, haven't been to Belarus, haven't been to the Baltic countries, but very few I haven't been to in
And
Europe,
so,
South
how's
America.
the time zone things been chill? Like with U.S.
I
clients?
like it. I like it now because it's 12 hours in Thailand. So I'm literally on the other side of the world. So right now I know what time it is in Miami. It's 12:37
Mm.
a.m. It's 12:37
Yeah,
p.m. here.
12 hours is a lot easier math than like 14 and
Yeah.
this kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, what throws me is we don't do DST and they do. So we occasionally it slips into the 13, or rather for half the year, it slips into 13 hours, but it's close enough. And like, all right, I got an hour, I can do that, right? Like it's about the same time.
We're gonna have to do some more like Asia roundtable episodes or something like that. I have a couple ideas for guys that we could get on
Yeah,
it
shoot
and
an idea. Let's do a more focused, a couple more focused ones. I
sure,
think
yeah.
it's really great when we like focus on a topic, and we can even make it a friendly debate, or we can make it a discussion, a roundtable, whatever you want. I'm always happy to talk about it because I love this. I love doing this, and like you said earlier with Go East, it's my passion project.
Yep.
Yeah, I make money. I make money on it. Okay, but I do it because I love it. It's not the most profitable. It's not the most consistent, but I
Mhm.
love helping good guys get over here to Asia. That is something I will never stop doing.
Yeah, there's coming up in they invited me in 2024. It's the what do they call it? The I'm going to butcher it, but it's like the Remarkable Travel Conference, something like that.
Do they make you
Uh,
pay to attend it?
yeah, because it's like a big conference. We had the
Yeah.
founder on the podcast. He's the founder of the Counting Countries podcast. It's kind of like the group of people that have been to or are trying to go to every country in the world. The people are
Mhm.
counting 193, and yeah, it's a lot of those guys that are organizing it, and
That's
so
that's a different crowd though, because
it's a different
I think the
crowd.
people that are chasing the 193 are not the people that are not expats. Actually, I wouldn't call them expats at all. They're a whole different brand because most of those guys end up back where they started.
Yeah,
When you really
there's overlap, but it is kind of
A
yeah,
lot of them.
it's
A lot of them. Not
yeah.
all of them, but a lot of them.
Yeah, we have some Thailand guys. Dave's Travel Corner, I think, spends like half
I know
his
him.
year in Thailand. You know
Of
the
him. Of him. Of him.
you know of him. Yeah,
Of him.
he's a previous podcast guest. We're probably rambling at this point, so we'll probably get to wrapping up. But Andrew, been a really fascinating discussion. Ranging from culture shocks to visa stuff. So lots of good intel and certainly a lot of energy coming from you. So thank you so much for agreeing to this podcast and helping put it together. It's been a really interesting discussion.
Appreciate it. I'm happy. I'm happy we made it. I'm happy we had this discussion. I look forward to talking with you in the future.
Yeah, man. Now we're in touch, and we'll see how we can help each other in the future. Of course, if you have guys interested in Latin America, residency in Latin America, send them my way.
Send them
And
your
then
way
vice versa. Part of the
to
call to
Asia.
action is if people are interested in Asia, they can reach out to Andrew. They can mention My Latin Life to get treated really nice.
Mm-hmm. GoEastGentleman.com. You can leave a comment there. Use the comment thing. Send me over a message through that. I'll get back to you and I'll say, you leave me a message, say, hey, I'm here from My Latin Life, or you email me, goeastgentleman@gmail.com. I will help you out. I will give you, if it's a consultation you need, you want to talk about moving here, I'll give you a special rate. If you guys want to do services in Thailand, I'll work with you one-on-one personally to get those things sorted. So whatever it is you guys need, I will help you out extra nice because you're a friend of my friend. So that's good for all of us.
There we go. Any additional call to action thing that you want to leave the audience with?
I will just leave people with this. The longer that you wait, the more that the more when you arrive, you will say, why didn't I do this yesterday? The longer you wait, the more you will think, I should have done this yesterday. I hear so many times from the old guys, I wish I did this when I was your age. And I turn around and say to them, I wish I did this 15 years ago.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. Well, all your links will be in the show notes as well, the website, all that good stuff. So, again, thank you to Andrew and thank you to the audience for listening. This has been another episode of the My Latin Life podcast. You can catch us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all your favorite podcast players.
Cheers.